This is the Bosch GWS 18V-Li. This is an 18 volt cordless angle grinder. There's a very specific reason for me buying this, and that is because we have one of these on site. And I have actually struggled with this in the past on site. I wasn't actually sure if the one on site had been dropped or if it's been misused or anything. So I actually went out and purchased my own, and I actually got this for £75 naked on eBay. The reason why I bought this is because I actually already own a DeWalt 18 volt, which is very good. And I did try using this one at work a couple of times, and there are a couple of things about it that annoy me. And I didn't find it as good as the DeWalt. But having said that, the one on site could have actually been abused in the past. So that's what made me buy this one, then I could give it a real good test at home. So when you buy it naked, you get a side handle, which you can move from one side of the machine to the other, depending on whether you are left or right-handed. You also get a pin wrench, a hex key, and you also get a set of flange nuts. So you get everything that you need apart from the battery and the charger. I'm just going to put the flanges on and the disc, and then I can show you why this annoys me so much. It also has a spindle lock, so you can press that in and then you can lock it in position whilst you tighten it up using the pin wrench. The reason why it annoys me so much is because of the guide. It actually uses a hex screw. So if you undo that, so I've now loosened that off, you can't actually turn it around. So that is incredibly annoying. I was actually on a job up some scaffolding, I took this up with me, got up there, realised that I couldn't move the guide. I needed to swap the angle grinder from left-handed use to right-handed use, as you often need to do on some jobs, and I couldn't actually move it. So the actual screw there, I actually undid it so that it was virtually completely undone, and you still can't turn it round because it's locked. At that moment in time, I did not actually realise that if you look in there, there's a tiny washer, and that stops the screw from falling out if you undo it fully. But at the time, I didn't know that was there. So in order to move the guide, you need to completely undo the screw. So you have to give it several turns until it's undone fully, and then you can actually move the guide around to the position that you want, and then you can retighten the screw. So it's an absolute ball ache adjusting the guide on this machine. Once you've got it in the position where you want it, you can then tighten it back up. So that did really annoy me, and I did find that really annoying. At the time, I did actually take the disc off, and I actually moved the guide round that way rather than undoing the screw fully, because I couldn't actually see that retaining clip in there that was holding in that screw. If we take a look at my old DeWalt, this one is approximately 10 years old. To change the angle of the guide on this, it's very easy. There's simply a lever in there. You simply undo that. You can then swap the guide to virtually any position you want, and then you can lock it back down. So that takes a matter of seconds, whereas with that one, it is a major job if you need to adjust the actual angle of the guide. This is my corded Metabo, and again, if you want to move the angle of the guide, simply undo the screw. You'll only need to give it a couple of turns. You can then slide the guide round to any position you want. Once you get it in the correct position, you simply tighten up the screw again. So, in my opinion, this is a major design fault with this grinder. They have made it incredibly difficult to move the guide. Having said that, if you just want it and you're going to set it up for left-handed or right-handed use all the time, it's not that much of a problem. But if you're swapping from left-handed use to right-handed use, or you move the guide regularly, it is a bit of a pain on this machine. Before we use this machine, I'm just going to point out some of the features. At the moment, there's no battery on this one. We do have a spindle lock button, which is very useful for when you're changing the disc, and the side handle can be moved from the right side to the left side depending on whether you are left or right handed. The switch can be pressed and held in position, and that will spring back, or you can press it and you can push it down, which latches the switch in. So that is for continuous use. Angle grinders like this are very useful for jobs if you need to go out somewhere and do a quick job. If you're doing a lot of metal work in a machine shop, you would struggle with one of these because the batteries would go flat very quickly, unless of course you had a lot of batteries, in which case these are absolutely superb because there is no lead to trip over. One thing I found with this model that we've got at work is that occasionally it does stall, and I have to say that I've never had that problem with my DeWalt 18 volt machine. So we're going to test this out. I'm going to cut a 3/4 inch UNC bolt. I've done this in a previous test with the DeWalt version, and I managed to cut off 6 slices of that bolt and also 2 slices of some 10mm by 30mm steel. That was using a 2 amp hour battery. So this particular machine uses a 4 amp hour battery, so I would expect that we get at least 16 slices of this UNC bolt before the battery goes flat. Of course, the new Bosch batteries are very good. They all come with a charge indicator, and you can see that that one is fully charged. Putting it on the machine is very easy. Simply slide it on. To take it off, simply press the red button there, slide it back off again. So I'm going to put on some PPE, and I'm going to see how many cuts we can do on these 3/4 inch UNC bolts using the one battery. That managed to do 26 cuts of the 3/4 inch UNC bolts, which is very impressive for a cordless machine. This of course did have the 4 amp hour battery on. I was expecting it to cut approximately 16, maybe 17 cuts, but it actually far surpassed that and did 26 cuts. So if you need to get an angle grinder to go out on a job somewhere, one of these is absolutely superb. The only problem with this one is the actual guide, which does let the machine down slightly. It does make it very difficult to change the angle of it. Another reason why I bought another one of these instead of borrowing the one from work for the review is the fact that when you turn the disc, it makes a really weird noise and it sounds like there's something wrong with it. I did actually think that that was a problem with the grinder at work until I bought this brand new one. So you can see that when you turn the disc, it does make a very weird noise. If we take a look at the DeWalt one, you can do exactly the same, and that one is nice and quiet. So it's only a minor point, but like I said, for the money, it is a very compact and useful machine, which is unfortunately let down by the guide. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel.